Go live. Come on. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Real Talk Show with Rochelle Marie Lawson, the Queen of Feeling Fabulous, and my co-host,
Dr. Kim
Dr.
Brown
Kim
Barber, better
Barber.
known as Dr. Kim.
Yes. We are going live, and we want to welcome you to another episode of the Real Talk Show, a show that was created by us women for women so that women can come together and discuss issues that affect us in today's society. And it's an open dialogue, a forum. We have panelists, we have you all live. So if you're seeing us live on LinkedIn, Facebook, or YouTube, and you like what you see, please subscribe. Let us know. Join us for the conversation. You can join us and get in the chat and ask questions, and also post your opinions or your thoughts about the topic that we're going to discuss this evening. And so, with regards to getting it started, again, I'm Rochelle Marie Lawson, the Queen of Feeling Fabulous, owner and president of Blissful Living for You, as well as the CEO of All Day Cable Incorporated. And what I help women do is to step into living the life of their dreams, wisdom, and wealth, absolutely balanced, so that they can actually own, claim, live the life of their dreams. And my co-host is Dr.
Dr.
Take it away,
Kim,
girl.
founder and CEO of Journey to Becoming. It's basically a platform to be able to help women and to help college students on their journey and their purpose to develop strategy, motivation, empowerment, and accountability on their journey to becoming, whether it's through business, classes, universities, personal lives, whatever it is, your journey is with us. All right, back to you, Rochelle.
So, again, welcome. We have two panelists with us, and we may have more joining us live on this wonderful live broadcast of the Real Talk Show. And so, what I want to just jump right in with regards to our topic of conversation today, about the issues that affect us women. And the topic we're going to discuss tonight is news in the modern world, expectations versus reality. Now, I'm just going to read a little excerpt that I wrote here. To get the conversation started. So, news and independent press are a crucial part of a healthy democracy. The electoral needs accurate and complete information to make informed decisions. However, according to a Gallup poll, millions of Americans no longer trust the news media as evenly and uniformly credible. Political partisans, biased by omission, opinion, social activism, and outright falsehoods are seen as too often replacing fact gathering and news reporting that follow established journalism standards. Although purposely inaccurate, reporting has always been of a country's history. The term fake news has spiked in recent years. With the rise in the use of social media, sound bites, clickbait, and open source news outlets, the onus is increasingly on citizens to critically assess not only the news, but where they get it. This conversation tonight is designed not to critique specific news sources, but to clarify what we can get and should expect from news sources in order to be an informed citizenry, especially when it comes to women and issues that affect women. So that's our topic of conversation for tonight. And what I want to just jump right in before we even get started, I want to jump right into having our panelists introduce themselves and tell you all a little bit about them. So why don't we go ahead and start with Miss Regina Hall?
Well, thank you so much, Rochelle, and also Dr. Kim Brown, Barbara. Thank you guys so much for having me on the Real Talk Show.
There
I
you
love
go.
it. I love it.
I love it already, Regina.
Yes. And so my name, of
Got
course,
the
is
vibe.
Regina
Come
Hall.
on, she got the vibe.
My name is Regina Hall, and I like to be known as the number one exhale transformational speaker, trainer, and coach. I help women to breathe. women who are struggling in their lives, careers, and spiritual journey. We walk into restoration, resiliency, and acceptance. And so that's what it's all about for me. I wrote a book. My book is called Mommy, I Need You. The purpose of my book was to share my story of the sexual abuse that I went through at the age of 10. But also, the reason why it's called Mommy, I Need You is because my mom and others did not believe that it had happened. And that unfortunately made it continue. But it's to also encourage women to get involved in the lives of other women. So women are hurting, women are going through various things. I was just reading even an article the other day about postpartum. What has, postpartum and the pandemic, what is that? How is that impacting women? And it is. And so women, we tend to carry the load of what's going on and things that are happening. And so I'm very glad to be here. I am a licensed professional counselor by trade. I attended Ashland Theological Seminary, where I received my master's, Central Michigan University for my undergrad. I am also an ordained minister. And I am a John Maxwell trainer, speaker, and coach, as well as a Les Brown motivational speaker. I have had the opportunity this week to find out, because I competed for stage time on John Maxwell. And I was selected out of 50 semifinalists. It was a total of 50 of us that were semifinalists, and I made the finalist list of 10. So I will be on
Congratulations.
the John Maxwell stage. So I'm really excited about what God is doing and how He brings forth, the story. So thank you. Thank you.
You're very welcome. Thank you for sharing. Now, Paisley, tell us about you.
Hi, my name is Paisley. I'm the Mindset Makeover Maven and the Dope Life Movement Creator. I am an author, speaker, and coach. I do life, health, and business branding coaching. The title of my book is I Am the Dopest, 55 Affirmations for Living Your Dope Life. The Dope Life Movement is all about, I created the acronym for DOPE, so it's DOP, and that's for dope on purpose, so that we know that we are intentionally dope, and it's not bound in conceit, but just about in confidence, and giving us the confidence to live the dope life that we were created to live. And as the Mindset Makeover Maven, what I do is move people's mindset from being mediocre to marvelous.
That's wonderful.
I
Excellent.
love it. Oh my
Welcome.
gosh. Thank you. Welcome, ladies. So as you see, we bring ladies that are foremost and forthright with regards to completely being in tune with women and the issues that affect us today. And they have expertise in a variety of genres that can help us all be that unstoppable woman that we know we are. And so I want to start off the conversation, particularly with when I'm asking this question with regards to us women and how it is affecting us women. Have you seen news media shift or change over the years when it comes to discussing issues or topics that are completely focused on issues that affect women? Let's go ahead and have you, Regina, tell us your thoughts about that.
So I want to make sure I understood the question. So the question is, have I seen within the marketplace of media where they are specifically focused on issues impacting women?
Yeah, have you seen a shift in in the way that they are either, one, reporting issues that affect women, or the fact of just issues related to women, or how they portray us in the media? Have you seen a shift or change, say maybe from 10 years ago to what you're seeing today?
Yeah. Well, thank you for that question. I would have to say that because of the Me Too movement and women really standing up for what they believe and what we believe now, Yes, there has been quite a bit of a shift for women and the way media is impacting. I think that media is still growing and understanding how to report uh, things as it relate to women and our issues. But I have to attribute the fact that women are starting to speak out more and more um, on how they are being impacted through media or by men. Like for instance, even though he didn't want to step down, I mean the governor, right, had to step down of New York, and who stepped in? A woman. And just even listening to her today saying there will be full transparency,
Mhm.
uh, as she runs this office now. I thought that was really powerful that she decided, I mean, that she's coming out and saying, this is the way my platform is going to look. This is the way people who work for me are going to be. There's going to be full transparency. And there was a lot of news about her stepping into this role. And I thought it was pretty good to even hear her step up the way she did, and the way the media portrayed her as competent, and she had the ability. It wasn't all of these ugly and nasty names that were being thrown about as it related to her. So yes, I do feel that there has been a shift. I think there has to be more of a shift. And I also think, like, I listen to Joy. I love MSNBC. I listen to her, how she reports. There was a time where you wasn't going to hear us fighting back. We had more niceties going on, right? Well, she's just flat out saying what's going on, how men are being, and how ridiculous it is, as she report on Congress and different things of that nature. So even the way women are reporting things now are impacting,
I
me. So
love
those
it.
are the
Mhm.
things I can say.
Mhm.
What about
Mhm.
you, Paisley? What are your thoughts about? Do you believe that the way the media, one, is portraying women in the media, or two, reporting about women has had a shift or change in the last 10 years?
I do believe that there has been a shift in how women are portrayed in the media. And I think there's a lot of things that have impacted that, right? So women
Mhm.
are being more, we're standing up for ourselves. We're speaking out for ourselves, and we're standing our ground, so to speak, to say, we don't want to be sexualized, and we don't want to be, we want to be acknowledged for as a person and for our accomplishments and our achievements and things like that. So I think the stand that women have taken has had a shift. I do think that there's still some room for improvement, right? And there's always areas of opportunity for us to be portrayed, more on an equal footing in the media. But I definitely do see that there has been an adjustment. What I look forward to is the time when that adjustment isn't just because we're trying to appease women, that we're looking for it to be genuine, right? And we're saying, hey, this is what she accomplished, and has contributed to whatever it is that's being reported, and that it's more it is more even. But I definitely see that there has been a shift and adjustment in how women are portrayed in the media.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I tend to agree with you on that. There has definitely been a shift. What are your thoughts, Dr. Kim?
No, I'm definitely concurring with them. I do see the shift as they talked about. However, I think a lot of the shift came from not your traditional media, it came from social media. And I think that has impacted the media to have to step up, because they were becoming obsolete. Like, no one was listening because everybody was listening to what was going on social media, what was happening on Twitter and Facebook, and whatever else. It was Instagram. Everybody was watching that. Now some, but media can be used for good or for evil, right? We're seeing some of this in some of the different ways. Even TikTok with the students right now, we're seeing, I just had a conversation dealing with some students that used it in a very negative way as a racial discrimination. And of course, the school did call them on it. But my point is that you know, when you're looking at women and the changes that we're seeing in media, I think it's all being impacted because social media has been the one that's been pushing to say, okay, this is where we're reporting on. So a lot of grassroots has really pushed the media to start to transform them from their traditional ways, is my point.
Yeah.
You know, thanks, ladies, for your comments, because I am in agreement. I have seen a shift and a change in the last 10 years. But I'm going to go back just a little bit prior to the last 10 years, and I'm going to go into stepping into when Barack Obama was running for president. And prior to Barack Obama running for president, I had not seen as many women commentators or hosts of their own shows on all these major media outlets prior to him beginning his run for his presidency. And so it was really interesting. It was almost like you had this African-American gentleman, very eloquent and highly articulate, right? Just the gift of the word, so to speak, and just the charisma, but very intelligent as well. This African-American male running for the highest office in the nation and being that person of color. And so it was almost like the media had to say, well, we support this in some download kind of way, but we're not going to have a whole bunch of shows with a whole bunch of African-American men being our hosts or commentators. We're going to infiltrate slowly. We're going to have women. And if we can get the women tied in, then we can get, you know, backing behind whatever political agenda we have for that matter. So you saw the ladies like Rachel Maddow and oh my gosh, I feel so horrible, but there's two sisters. Joy was one, and then the other sister was a light-skinned African-American lady, a professor, very eloquent, and I would watch her shows on Saturday, and she would bring some real hard issues. And then we've had other ladies.
Tiffany?
She used to wear
Is she
braids.
on now on Saturdays, every Saturday?
You know what? I stopped watching after, you know.
Yeah, it's Tiffany.
Yeah,
Yep.
but there was several ladies. Cameron Hall and Tamron Hall and a bunch of other ladies that were like maybe doing phenomenal work, but we weren't seeing them in the forefront. We weren't seeing women in the forefront. And when Barack Obama was running for president, or his thing, it was like almost like, okay, we're going to bring women to the forefront to give them some credence. But after he's done, we're going to cast them back. But fortunately what happened for us is it's just come to more of the forefront. Although I still don't see as many shows where the women are the host and the owner, quote unquote, of their shows. But actually, I've seen a little bit of a decline. But then again, it's the media ebbs and flows. And, you know, it's all about what's happening at that moment. So it is really interesting when we take a look at it. And sometimes how they portray us. Here's another thing I noticed. And when I'm thinking media, I'm not just thinking about the political news or the nightly news and that kind of stuff. I'm thinking about the media where you have the, ESPN Sports and all of that. Prior to maybe 10 years ago, you didn't see but maybe one gal I can think of that was a sports commentator in that male-dominated
another one you're talking
industry.
about too.
And she was a trendsetter. Yes, and she made the way for all these other young gals to come in. And so definitely over the last 10 years, it has shifted in all genres of quote unquote the media and the news. But there's definitely way more room for improvement. And some of these fellas really do need to go. So I want to just step into the next question with regards to this fake news thing. And to be honest, I really didn't hear about fake news until our last president was doing his thing. And up until then, I never had really heard about it or even thought of the consequences or even that it existed. But what consequences have you seen or expected from the spread of fake news? And second part to that is, how is one able to decipher whether what's being reported is true reality news or fake embellished news with a specific agenda, particularly when it affects women and is about issues about women? Let's start with you, Paisley. What are your thoughts behind that?
So just to make sure that I'm understanding, you want to know how I feel about the how we're portrayed in the news and
Well,
that speak. Say again.
what the consequences are with regards to the expected spread of, basically, what are the consequences of fake news when it comes to women, expectations about women, and how women are portrayed in media, whether it's broadcast media, audio media, or social media?
As far as the consequences are concerned, I feel like currently it's not enough, right? There's a lot of things that impact people's lives, right? Not just their character and things like that, but overall their lives. And when it's fake, when it's not real, and there's no accountability to that, it goes away quickly, right? So that whatever is talked about in the media, it's hot for the moment, and then that kind of, goes away, but you don't realize the impact that may have had long term to an individual. And so I feel like there needs to be a higher level of accountability for intentionally spreading fake news, if that makes any sense, right?
It
Because
does.
Talking about mainstream media or social media or air media, what specifically, and what
I think mainstream media has more. They have more resources, right? I think in social media, people are kind of putting out their opinions, and they're spreading things that they've heard or seen, right? And a lot of the times, that information isn't accurate. So I think social media is harder, but I think in the mainstream media, right, they have a responsibility to spread the news factually and correctly, and not to have a negative, intentionally have a negative impact on other individuals, right? And they have the resources to be able to make sure that they're fact checking and that they're doing the right thing. So I'm talking more about the mainstream media, that they have that responsibility. I think social media is such a mixed bag of, people. This is what I heard my auntie's cousin's boyfriend said, and things like that. And so I feel like I see a lot of the times people just spread things on social media because it is a platform for everyone, right? Everybody can stand on their soapbox and they can say the things that they've heard or feel, or how they feel about the things that they've heard, and things like that. But in the mainstream, they have more of a responsibility. These are professionals in the industry of journalism and reporting and things like that. So when you're intentionally spreading fake news, or you're not doing your due diligence to fact check and make sure that the information that you have is accurate before you get out there and start to spread it as if it were fact, because I think there's a difference when you're talking about opinion, right? So there's those opinions that people put out there from a mainstream media perspective, but we say, hey, from my point of view, this is how I see it, and things like that, versus when you're reporting it as if it's fact, and then it's really not. That's a huge problem, and I think there needs to be more accountability there.
Gotcha. What about you, Regina? What are your thoughts?
So I have a couple of thoughts. When you think about social media, so let's think about the election in 2016, when the former 49, I think, or whatever you want to call him, was elected. I'm just being real. And so he was elected. So when you think about that, right? Social media was used to create an atmosphere of contention. It was used to bring about lies, to have either Black people and people of color not to vote. It was used to come up against Hillary. I mean, so it was used in many ways to spread lies, right? And people believe those lies. As a matter of fact, I want to say 85 to 90% of people get their news from the media, from social media.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
people are getting their news
Mm-hmm.
from social media.
Yeah.
When Dr. Kim talks about, when she talk about that they have an aim for college students, right? College students are getting a lot of their information from media, and so are our children. Our
Mm-hmm.
children are identifying themselves. They are finding their identity on social media.
Mm-hmm.
And I know this to be
Right.
true because I'm talking to some. And when I say, where did you get that opinion about yourself? I am told from social media.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So
Definitely.
people are engaged on social media, believing that this information is true. And what I have come to understand about people in general, even talking about myself, that I had to become a person who wanted to be critically aware.
Mm-hmm.
I had to step into critical awareness.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm seeing that we take things at face value with no research and we run with it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So you see that right now, even happening with the pandemic. You see that happening with people putting out all this false statements. However, the eyes are still darkened when you think about now you're sending in the Air Force, you're sending in the National Guards, you're sending in all these people, but you still standing up and saying, I haven't seen any evidence. Just seen that in uniform. Here, I haven't seen any evidence. Are you kidding me? But that's their truth, and they're standing
Right.
on it.
Right.
So a lot of people are buying into things. I think that as DeLacy, is it DeLacy?
DeLacy Paisley.
Okay, has said that all media, I think the owners of media have a responsibility. I really appreciate that our current president Biden has come after Facebook to make them more accountable, and they need to
Mm-hmm.
crack down even the more. Right? Said you need to stop allowing this fake news to come
Mm-hmm.
out. I mean, they just
Right.
showed where this man, he got all this airtime. They finally cut his airtime because he said that he had a bomb and he was in front of, the White House. Give me a break. Why did he get all that airtime? So
Mm-hmm.
finally, social media, Facebook cut the line, the airline. But it should have already been cut. So you see all these dangerous things that are happening. Our kids are so exposed to people being killed, to people being beaten. I mean, they can get all of this on social media. And I'm concerned about all the things that go inside their head. I mean, all these thoughts, and now you have a higher dealings of anxiety. You have a higher dealings of depression that our children are dealing with. So you go over to now the social media. I mean, the mainstream media, and they're promoting the lies, and so lies are really being promoted. But this is nothing new, right?
Mm-hmm.
Lies have been promoted for many, many years. They have been told on us as African Americans.
It's not right. It's not nothing
throughout
new.
the years. I'm sorry.
I think she's just freezing, and the timing is just coming in at all time. Yeah.
Now that we brought up social media, I think now that we brought up social media, which is a very sore spot for me, particularly when it relates to women, and I'm going to say our girls growing up, our preteens, tweens, teens, and young ladies. Now let's say particularly like all the way up to maybe 25, 26 years old or older, 27, 28 years old. Social media has had a huge impact on them and their image, what they think about themselves, in the whole fake reality.
That's right.
And unfortunately, we have women like the Kardashians that promote the falsities of a realistic life. And these girls, these women, think that their lives should be picture perfect. And so with regards to social media, Dr. Kim, let's have you started off. What are your thoughts about the consequences of social media on our young women? And I'm going to say young women from the age of 11 to 26. What do you think the consequences of social media has had effect with regards to their outlook on life and how they feel about themselves?
I think it's massive. I think a lot of, I think Paisley and Regina kind of already touched on it a little bit, but I think it's massive. Like I said, I talk to, whether they're 6 years old, because not even before 11 now, it's being impacted, right? Because that's all they know. 6-year-olds, that's all they know. They grew up with social media, so they don't know a time before social media.
That's right.
So whether you talk to a 6-year-old, 11-year-old, 20-year-old, you're seeing that, oh my goodness, that's why you get cyberbullying. You get a lot of racism, and you get a lot of these things that are just going wild on this social media. And then people wonder why, we're in the state that we're in the U.S. A lot of it has to do with this just running rampant. And so I applaud President Biden for going after Facebook and saying, no, you have to have some accountability. And I feel like all of the media platforms, whether it's social or traditional, need to have responsibility. My father used to always say he was a politician, he was a chemist, he had his own radio show, TV show. He was an activist, he was an advocate, he was all those things. And he used to always say, program managed news, which in other words, a lot of the media will manage you in what you want to think by giving you certain perspectives and cues. And then the next thing you know, you're like, oh, I can't stand Black people. I can't stand women. I can't stand because it's been programmed to you. And so we have to be cautious of that programming, even being to not only our young women, but our young men, because I have sons, and not having them to be portrayed in a certain way and thinking that this speaks for all people, whether they be white, whether they be Black, whether they be Asian, it doesn't matter, Latino, it doesn't matter, but this program managed news being able to start shaping people's minds and opinions, you have to have a mind of your own. My father always told me, think for yourself.
That's it.
I had somebody actually say something to me that was dealing with something and telling me that, who the first, I think they told me, they said, that the first slave owner was a Black man. I said, really? I said, let me research that one. So I went and researched it. And what it is it's propaganda, because what it is, he was the first, this man, I think it was Anthony Johnson or Anthony Jackson. I can't remember the last name. It's either Johnson or Jackson, but he was the first Black landowner. And so they took it and ran with it. And so I had to do my own research to do some digging. But my point is that, people will just come and tell you anything. And that's what's happening on social media. As a matter of fact, they even said in social media that people were turning it around on social media to say these things. And that's the other thing too. Our young kids don't have encyclopedias, right? Remember the encyclopedias? All you who are not in that age group. A through Z. Okay. You know what goes knocking at your door. Can you
Encyclopedia Britannica?
We're giving a plug for you. We're giving a plug for you. You would have to look up everything. And I granted, I like that you can get the information quicker. But the thing about it is, at least when you looked it up, you knew it was real because it had been checked and double checked.
Right.
Yes.
And, very, very valid points, ladies, and thank you for sharing. Because we just live in a total different day and age of, I can speak for myself, probably Dr. Kim, not sure about Regina or Paisley, but I grew up in a time where, most of my time growing up we were outdoors, right? So we weren't really affected by the things that was on the news, so to speak. I mean, I grew up when the Vietnam War was going on, and I completely didn't understand why we were over there fighting. I grew up when President Nixon was being impeached, and I was like, how are they firing the president? You know,
Right?
why is he
Because a kid.
He's the president. He's not supposed to lie, right? He's not supposed to be a crook. But it's a completely different era. And then I also grew up in the era where there were no women that looked like any of us broadcast journalists. Are you kidding? Right. They weren't even in the field being journalists, right? They were in somebody's room typing up something. So things have changed and evolved. But in the essence of how it's affecting us women in society, I think there does need to be a lot more accountability with regards to the issues that affect us women. And not only on just mainstream media, but on social media as well. But I think that's going to be a long way out because right now there's really no regulation with social media. I can go right now and post that I'm pregnant and I'm going to have 10 babies. And I bet you somebody will, before we finish this this show, someone will be contacting me to do a story and try to write the story, even though it's fake. And I can have one of you say, yeah, she is. I know she's pregnant. She's big as the house. She don't look like people. You know what I'm saying? And so there does need to be accountability with all of that. So now I want to jump into the next question.
Can I ask one thing, or just say one thing? One of the things about the whole fake news and everything, one of the consequences for me is that I am more woke. I just wanted to say that I am more woke. I am looking and I am wondering, and I have now rejected a lot of what was programmed in me. So I want to give that credit to the Trump people and all of them who started that fake news. They made me wake up.
That's true.
Yes, girl.
That's true.
Wait. I don't have the mic yet, but
are you getting ready?
Right there. I gotta say that is so.
We always
true.
do that on the show. We always have
a
drop the mic point.
Right. Anyone watching this and didn't hear that, you better wake the heck up.
It's like wake up.
That's it. Wake up.
Wake up.
Love it.
Yeah.
Thank you, Regina, because that's very, very more awake than I was. For sure. And any woman watching this, or any man that knows a woman that needs to watch this and subscribe to this show, it's time for us to wake up. It really is time. So I'm going to jump into the next question. It is definitely. It's been time, but now we saying it really is time, ladies. It's really time for y'all to wake up. So now, how do you decide what news source to trust? How has your trust in the news source change? Again, this is all related to the issues that affect us women today. So when they're reporting about pro-choice or pro-life, or a woman's right to vote, or a woman's right to have 10 babies, or to be the president, or whatever it is, how is that affecting us? Let's start with you, Paisley. Let's start with you with regards to that question.
So
you want me to repeat it?
No, I don't. As far as which news source to trust, I don't. And that's really the short answer, right? I don't trust any news source because I feel like there's so much. There is so much fake news. There's so much where there's so much spinning, right? You spin a story, and that's not new. But the way that we spin stories is to use verbiage that villainizes a group of people or an individual, and uplifts another individual, when in fact that may not, we're spinning them so that to our own opinions, right? To make other people feel the way that we feel. We're evoking emotions in individuals. So when you start to evoke emotions in individuals with what you're saying, a lot of the times they can ignore the facts because they're so emotional about it. And so I don't really trust any news source for real. I actually, for myself and for my mental health, I need to stay away from watching newscasts consistently. I choose what I want to see, and then I go and look into it further because there's just no other way around it, right? Dr. Kim said that same thing, right? You have to really go and seek it out for yourself. Regina said, becoming woke, because you really do have to figure out for yourself, like, is this factual or is this made up? Is somebody spinning the story a certain way? And things like that. So for me, I don't, there's not a news source that I feel that I can go to and say, this is the 100% truth, because truth be told, whatever the headline is that's going to sell, that's how they're going to spin it. And so, and that's what, and they're there to get clicks, they're there to get viewers, they're there to get everything that they need to get to validate themselves and make, the ad folks spend more money, or someone say this is a great story, or like you said, just sensationalize it, right? I'm having 10 babies and they're like, oh, she's having 10 babies, let's figure this out. But I don't really
exactly.
any particular news source at all, because I feel like I need to get the information for myself, right? With all thine getting, get understanding. So we don't get out there and get our own understanding for ourselves and understand, because what impacts you may not impact me the same way. And so if I don't actually go out there and get an understanding for how it impacts me, it doesn't mean that you're wrong. It just means that we have a different point of view and we're impacted differently. So the way that you view it and the way I view it, even as women of color that are probably in the same demographic, right? There's still certain things that impact us differently.
Sure.
And so people you have to get it for yourself, and you get it how you get it, but you need to get it for yourself so that you can be woke for yourself.
Definitely.
I love it. I love it. I love, you made a good point, and I'm in agreement with you. I stopped watching news a long time ago because it's all negative, and they have a specific agenda that they're driving us to. If you really take a step back, there's nothing positive. They don't report anything positive. It's all negative.
Yeah.
And the agenda is focused on something. And you have to start asking yourself, why is the agenda focused on this when there's so much other stuff going on in the world? How about no one's talking about water drying up, actual rivers and lakes that are actually drying up, or, the shortage of beef, or, how food has gone up astronomically, or for that matter, since the pandemic, everything has gone up astronomically. I went to rent a car. Car usually cost me $350.
Okay.
It was $1,300. And I'm like,
it was like, excuse me?
Right. So, they have a specific agenda. So I'm like you, I don't watch the news. I don't want to fill my day with a bunch of negative BS. When I really need to get the information I need to get, I could research it and get it from factual sources and live my life and, go on and live my life. But Dr. Kim and Regina, do you have any take on like any trusted news sources that you go to? Anything you want to share with regards to, your takes on, hey, just watching the news, or are you a news watcher or not? And do you pay more attention when they're specifically talking about issues that affect women or people of color?
Yeah.
Regina, please.
Okay. Now, what I have to say, years ago, I used to watch Fox News.
We still love you.
Years ago. And I still sometimes try to look at the local news with Fox, because there are, and I am impacted when I see African Americans on certain news, local news, national news. I want to support them and see what they're talking about. And so when I think about news in that perspective, yes, I do try to do some supporting of news outlets. I tend to lean, though, a lot nationally. I want to find out about health issues that are going on, but I do have to cut it. I tend to watch Rachel. I watch her.
I
I watched the readout. I watched that, but not every single day, because I do believe that we have to be careful what we're allowing to come
Mhm.
into our minds and into our hearts, because the Bible does tell us to guard our hearts. And
Mhm.
I really feel that the lost art for a lot of what's going on in our society is values. You know, we had values, a lot more values than what you see going on right
Oh,
now. And so that is really a lost art right now, right? That people have just thrown values out the window, and they say whatever comes to their mind, or they wear whatever. And I'm not into that. So that's why I think I find Rachel Meadows to be a good show. I like the way that she researched topics and she get deep down into it, and then she bring her guests on. But I can't take that all the time either.
right.
Uh, Joy can't. For me, I think Joy is still finding herself. The readout, because this is just her first year. She's still finding herself. And I was hoping when 45 had left office, honestly, I was hoping that he left office. I mean, that we didn't talk about him no more, and to still have conversations a lot around about him. I just have to cut it off. So
I
my
agree.
source a lot of time has to really line up with the word of God. What are my values? What do I care about? I love what you said. There are things going on in the world. People are hungry. People are starving. People are have been thrown out of their homes. Women have lost daycares. You kind of hear just a little smidge of that being said. So yeah, those things matter, and those are things that I believe that when we have values and when we care about things, our ears become more open to those type of things. And I was like,
Yeah.
now this is the first time me hearing about the daycares. We ought to be talking about that a lot, right?
Mhm.
But we're
Right.
Mhm.
not. I mean,
Right.
daycares are
That's
closing. I
big.
heard some more news about it
Yeah, that's
yesterday, which
big.
was good. I'm sorry, Dr. Kim, what you
No,
say?
I said that's big.
Yeah,
That's
that's
big.
That's
huge.
huge.
Yeah.
That's huge. It is interesting what they choose to focus on. They focus on a lot of stuff that really doesn't have meaning for the majority of the people. I mean, I'm like you. I thought once the past president had transitioned out that well, however, let me rephrase this. I knew we would hear more about him because he's that child that hasn't grown up yet, and he needs to be the center of attention. He's gonna act out. He's gonna be the one falling on the floor with tantrums, kicking that. Back in our day, our mamas would have picked us up, tanned our hide, and we would have kept on going. Right? You know what I'm saying? His mama needed to tan his hide when he was young. Otherwise, he would have back up. But the reality of it is, it is, and he's not gonna go away. But there was something that was really disturbing to me when he was president or becoming president, and the fact that all of his indiscretions with women and how he disrespected women time and time and time and time again, they were mentioned and then it was just shushed under the table. And it's still issue. These women that he disrespected, that he was inappropriate with, still have to deal with the fact that this man was disrespectful and inappropriate with them. But we don't hear that in media. But we still hear them letting him talk about this, that, or the other that's shining a light on him. So with regards to mainstream media, it sucks. It really does suck. And I wish Oprah would come back and start a media channel where it's really focused on positive issues and positive things that are happening around the world, and shining light on people, positive things at the grassroots as well as at the higher levels as well. But until that day comes, and maybe Oprah will see this and grace us all to be a part of her experience. It's just something that we have to talk about at this level to bring more awareness to it. Time for one more question, I think. And what I want to ask you is, with regards to just the whole context of our media today and how women are presented and how women are looked at or how we're characterized, what would you say would be the biggest change with regards to that you would like to see as we move forward and transcend on into, this next decade, so to speak, leading up to 2030? What is something that you would like to see change with regards to how we're portrayed and talked about in the media? And I'll go ahead and start with you, Regina.
I think that really, you hear the saying that charity starts at home, right? And I'm just a believer too that we can play a bigger role in what we allow. I used to hear a person say, and I've been thinking about this more and more, that we can create the change. We can write to these media outlets. We can, and they read they read it. I often hear them saying, I may get some nasty news for this. I may get some nasty comments for this. And I'm like, wow, they really do take this under, advisement. And I like that. So holding them accountable, us as women coming together more, and instead of criticizing our young girls about what they're wearing, really helping them to be more woke, because we know that they're getting it from social media. So how can you be you? You don't have to be like everybody else out here. And they hear that from parents. I mean, I've said that to my daughter, but the bottom line is, how do we help them to support one another? So I think the biggest thing for me is how I respond and what more can I do as a citizen of the United States. So I think for me, I need to start with me, and I would ask others to start with them and embrace values again.
Right.
Embrace those values of kindness. And you're right, Trump is not being held accountable, and they put the mic up to his mouth. But it would be so nice if they say, you know what, but women, see, that's part of the problem. Women support him in this
I
foolishness.
know.
So there you go. So it starts with us. I really believe when we start taking note and making the changes.
Thank you. And thank you for that last comment, that women support him. If you are a woman and you support this man, I'm not going to be, I'm going to be harsh. You ought to be ashamed of yourself. The man does not respect women. He showed it time and time again. And the media just has allowed him to get away with the disrespect he has for women. He says it in his context and in his comments. He'd rather look at a man and talk to a man than anything to do with a woman. So that's my take. Thank you for sharing that and bringing that to the forefront. Regina, we do have a comment, and that person says, yes, we are sharing some real talk here. So Paisley, tell me your thoughts about what you would like to see change in regards to how the media portrays women and how they report issues that affect us women in today's society.
I think what I would like to see would be more acceptance, right? There is a level of, it has to be this way, and this way is right, or this way is wrong. And I think that there needs to be more acceptance of our differences, right? And the way that we are portrayed is not always based on acceptance. It's based on what somebody else thinks you should be. And people need to be able to walk in their positive, right? In a positive way. We need to be portrayed in the media. I think there's so much focus on what is considered negative, right? And instead of spinning things to, hey, this person is doing this positive thing, people are skipping over that. So I want to see more acceptance of people being doing great things, right? And focusing on that, because I find that if we don't come together and say, hey, you know what? Yes, you have this person doing this negative thing, and this negative thing. However, that shouldn't be the focus. The focus should be on the things that people are doing that are positive. A lot of people are having a positive impact in this world, in their communities. in their schools, in their homes. There's a lot of positive things that are going on that we are completely overlooking, right? You could be an honor roll student, you could, you could have won a great scholarship and things like that, but you run a red light and now they're like, this delinquent person is, we need to accept people in the space that they're in, and we need to allow them to be great, because we are great people. And I think that we have so much to contribute. And if we're being overlooked for the great things that we're doing, right, it's not just she's cute and she's this, it really needs to be, there's some meat to a lot of things that we're doing that people are never seeing because they don't look this way. So accept them for who they are and how they are, but focus on the positive things that they are doing. And unfortunately, right now, we're not doing that. It is, is it Instagram worthy? Is it, worthy of social media on any level or platform? And we need to really get back to the meat of things. Accept people for what they're doing, focus on the positive, and let's start spreading more of that.
I love it. Thank you.
Well said. Well said.
Thank you, ladies. So, Dr. Kim, do you have any closing comments that you would like to say? We had two phenomenally beautiful panelists, Paisley and Regina, and they really brought it home with our conversation. So, Dr. Kim, what would you like to say as we close out our session this evening?
I mean, it's already been said. I'm just loving it, right? All I can say is amen. Yes. Okay. Whatever it is, the snaps, whatever you want to say, right? The shout out, whatever. Because I mean, it's awesome, and it's all true. And I liked what both Regina and Paisley said about, being able to start with yourself. Don't look at nobody else. Look at yourself and see, what we all can improve. No one's perfect, right? So what do we need to work on? We have unconscious biases. So, those are things that are impacted with our experiences, and with our background, our rearing and all sorts of different other things that we go through in education and whatnot. And so all of us are going to be different and have different unconscious bias. But where do we start? We start with ourselves. I love that, Regina. And then I love it, Paisley, that, you're really encouraging people to be okay with being who they are, right? Meet people where they are and then move forward, right? Yeah. And being able to, and I think, I think that's important, because as we continue to move forward, we've seen a lot of people coming through the pandemic, having a lot more anxieties and mental, social, emotional, pieces. And it's so important to be able to love you, right? Even in all our flaws, but to be able to want to do better, to continue to push forward, to do better. But I think it's real important for us to be able to always remember that we start with ourselves. But when you're listening to news, you need to make sure that you are always, you become the fact finder and make sure that it's true. Don't just take it because it's on social media or whether it's on traditional news that it's right. Because anytime somebody comes and tells me anything, I say, what's your source? Just like the news, I'm like the news person. What's your source? And if they tell me something that doesn't sound right, then I'm out, right? Because I'm gonna look for myself. I've always been like that. So I would encourage every woman to look for yourself. Look for yourself.
Yeah. Love it.
I love it. So there you have it, everyone. The Real Talk Show this evening. Our guest panelists, Regina Hall and DeLacy Paisley. Thank you so much, ladies, for being our panelists.
Thank you. Thank you.
We appreciate you, and we appreciate you spending time out of your evening to be with us. Dr. Kim Brown Barber and Rochelle Marie Lawson, the Queen of Feeling Fabulous. We wish you all phenomenal rest of your week. But here's the thing, before I go, if you like this show, subscribe. Share it with everyone that you love and care about, particularly if you got a woman in your life. Share it, subscribe. And just know that we are on every other Tuesday. So We're on this Tuesday. We won't be on next Tuesday, but we'll be on the following Tuesday. Every other Tuesday is our schedule, so you can find us. But if you subscribe, you'll get notification about the show, so you won't miss it. Okay. All righty, everyone. Thank you so much. God blessing to all of you. I'm wishing you all peace, love, health, and please be safe out there, because the Delta variant, the Rona wasn't playing, and Delta ain't either. So please be safe and protect yourself and your loved ones. Take good care, everybody. Bye.
Bye-bye. Take care.
Bye.
Peace.